What is up, everybody? What is up, dyslexic achievers? Welcome to Own Your Dyslexia live webinar. It is so great to have each and every one of you here. I know there's always a delay when it comes to webinars, so we'll keep talking as more people come in, but this is the Own Your Dyslexia webinar. This is where you turn dyslexia into your greatest advantage. Now, as we do the housekeeping rules, first and foremost, I want to hear where you are from, whether it's the comment section, the chat section, whatever you have this open to, drop your location. Because cool enough, as we have grown this over this last year, and as you drop your location, we have had people from the US, a lot of people from the US. We've had people from the UK drop in. Our last webinar that we had, we even had one of the panelists from the UK. And it was amazing to have those individuals. And we even have people over in Australia, which commendable for you, because in Australia, it's like 3 a.m. right now, something like that. So if you're joining us from Australia, big heart, big thank you out to you. Because let me just start off with like how amazing this thing is. A year ago, and you'll be able to meet her as one of the speakers. A year ago, I got to meet at a speaking event I went to, Tigo. And as we talked about our dyslexia and talked about the things we've been able to do, this is kind of what seeded and blossomed from it. And if any of you have known me before this, you might know a little bit of my story. But back in the first grade, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. And from there, and this might be relatable to you, I felt like the kid that stood out. I was either the gifted child who was put into a separate classroom or the special needs child who was also put in a separate classroom for different reasons. As I grew up, people bullied me. I fell into a little bit of depression. It was very lonely. And even there were times when I had friends. I remember in high school, we'd finish lunch, we'd put our trays into the trash can. And as we walked to class, we were chatting. We were having a good old time. And then my friends walked off into their classroom, which was honors English. But for me as a dyslexic, it was hard to read. I was way behind on my reading level. And writing, goodness gracious, I was always the last one in class to finish. So I had to walk a few doors down to the regular English class, to where nobody wanted to be there, and I felt like an outcast. If you have ever felt that way, this is the place for you. This is the place to where we learn about how to turn dyslexia into something greater. Because what do we hear? What do we hear when it comes to dyslexia? We hear struggle with reading, reading backwards. We hear that you process information differently, so you might be below average. We hear that spelling words, goodness gracious, good luck. Speaking, you might have a speaking impediment. You might have, the audio processing disorder, which is one thing that I have, and apparently not works well, but it correlates with dyslexia a lot. And so all these things happen, and in a world in which we are just measured on how we read and how we write and how well we communicate, it's hard for us to see the good side of what this thing called dyslexia does. But as I've grown and as I've learned more about it, let me share some of these cool superpowers with you. If you're dyslexic, you have great perspective. We're able to look outside of the box and see the bigger picture of what's going on. That's why when problems arise, everyone's just like, got to solve it this way, got to solve it this way. Which in our minds, we're like, there's this way, but there's also a dozen other ways we can solve it. We're also great when it comes to sympathy and empathy, because we just had to deal with so much our entire life that when other people go through challenges, we know how it feels. And so we're able to reach out and be empathetic. We're great when it comes to creativity. I was reading a study that says 30% of entrepreneurs are dyslexic, have some form of dyslexia. And I'm like, dang, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that a third of people out there who are creating the businesses, who are changing the world in that way, a third are dyslexic. And there are so many other things between the way we communicate, between how we're able to process information, about how we're able to problem solve. that goes so well with dyslexia. And as I have gone through this, I realized that it's not about what is affecting us. It's about how we use what is affecting us. Henry Ford is attributed to the quote of, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. My entire life, I believed that I can't. And then I switched it to believe I can. And that's where this came from. That's where the things we've been able to do. So welcome to Own Your Dyslexia live webinar. If I haven't said it already, I'm Coach Willie Blake. I am a dyslexic coach, advocate for awesome dyslexics, and a speaker out there trying to change the world and create a community of dyslexics. And if you haven't joined our community, just 2 months ago, we started a community on the platform School. And if you guys aren't a part of it, make sure that comment, boom. There's a link to it, coachwillieblake.com/community. There you'll find a lot of dyslexic entrepreneurs and professionals who are offering tips, who are going through challenges and getting the connections and offering advice. If you go there, you're going to see this wonderful picture with that smug face on it. It's going to say Next Level Dyslexics, where dyslexia becomes an advantage for entrepreneurs and professionals. So go to that link. It'll link you right to this. Or in School, you can go to that Discover thing, type it in. When you see this picture, you know you're in the right group. Now, before we bring on the guests, again, type in the chat. Type where you're from. I want to hear where we are getting from. And as we go through this, these are panelists that have come on. These are individuals who are not only dyslexic, but have been doing amazing things with it, who haven't made it hold them back. We're going to hear from we're going to bring someone on who's a trailblazer, a media producer, and just a phenomenal individual who I met a year ago. We're also going to bring on another one who is the founder of Be Healthy Utah, and such a great personality and full of love. I just love whenever I get to talk with her, because it just you can tell how much she cares. But before we bring them on, in the chat, wherever you're on, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you're listening to this to, ask questions, because they're going to share their quick story about what dyslexia is. And I have a few questions that I can ask them, but this is about you. The people who are here are live. This is about you. This is where you ask your questions. It can be about business, but it also can be about relationships and connection. It can be about family. It can be about finance, but also can be with the struggles that you've been facing. Maybe it's tips and tricks that you want to succeed. Whatever it is, make sure you drop your questions in there, and we'll pull them up. We'll ask our panelists, and we'll give as much value as we can over these next 60 minutes. Sound good? Sounds good to me. So without further ado, as you drop those questions in, let's bring on our first panelist who's going to join us. This is someone who's been here from the beginning. If you've been here before, you know who she is. Amazing individual, a trailblazer in her industry, just fantastic media producer, and just someone who I call my one of my closest dyslexic friends. Tigo, welcome to this awesome webinar.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be back. And you forgot something in your title. You forgot Super Dad.
Oh, Super Dad.
Super Dad.
I appreciate
You're an awesome dad.
I appreciate
You need
that.
to share that. How are you? What's going on?
I'm doing so good. And talking about Super Dad, I actually have a kid on the way.
I know.
It's, less than 3 months. The first week of January is when she's going to come. And
then you're going to disappear for like 6 months doing all the Super Dad duties.
Yeah, that's why automation's great, because you don't have to be there in order for it to be out. Tigo, our audience, a few of our audience has heard, but like some people haven't, and some people forgot. Share with us, one, who are you? What do you do? And then two, when did dyslexia come into your life, and what have you done with it?
I'm Theresa, well now Dr. Theresa Tigo Goss, and originally from Chicago, disabled vet, served in the Navy, and I'm an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 10, made more money than my parents by the time I was 12, And I just love tech stuff. So I do anything that, except maybe wash windows. I have an issue with it with washing windows, but anything else I'm pretty much good at. And if I put my mind to it, I started programming back in high school in the 70s. Yes, for everybody got the calculator out. I am 61 in a month. I'll be 62. And I just love what I do. You know, I've turned tech into television production, into a feature film production, and being an executive producer, and now into our television network that we just launched in beta in July, Squirrel Vision Network TV. And next month we launch it globally on 480 million smart TVs around the world. So it's going to be fun. You'll be able to just go to the App Store, type in Squirrel, and load it next to your Netflix. So we're pretty excited about that. Dyslexia. I found out I was dyslexic in my 20s. I thought, well, my dad said you can't be smart at everything. So I just thought I just wasn't good at reading and spelling, and okay, that's it. And everybody has a hard time reading a newspaper or whatever. But for me, I don't see things backwards. When I'm tired, I don't see spaces. So if you're trying to read the newspaper and you don't see spaces, it looks like one super long word, and you just stare at it and look for the breaks, which works out great for puzzle stuff. You know, when they put all the words together, the find the word thing, I knock those out in seconds because I've been doing it forever. But in general days, no, that's not that great. So computers coming along became my blessing, because when I get tired, I can just turn the light up behind it and it forces the light between the words, and it makes it so much easier for me to read or do what I want to do. And I've mastered audiobooks, and I know you have too. You know, I probably have been one of the original Audible clients and have never left. There's so many books in there I've done. And now with AI, you can turn almost any book into an audiobook like instantly. So it's our time, man. It's our time.
You're right there. It's our time. Listening is so much easier than reading. At least it is for both of us, right? I can listen to something I haven't gotten up to 3 times yet, but it's like 2.5 times speed. When reading, it might take me like 10 minutes to just read a page, right?
Right.
It is. And okay, I got to address something, Tigo. You so casually said, yeah, got this, I'm going to paraphrase it, got this TV thing going, going to reach like 4 million people. And hello?
80 million TVs. Yeah, we partnered with the company. Like iOS runs iPhones, right?
Yeah.
So this company's technology powers over 80% of all smart TVs. So if you have like a television where Roku or Netflix or Hulu or Disney or whatever is auto-populated on the screen, and all you have to do is go to the App Store to add more, that's a smart TV. And this company powers over 80%. And at the current count is over 480 million televisions, and just under 3 billion viewers worldwide use this technology.
Wow.
I'm a coder, so I got certified as a developer and then was invited to add my channel. So we've been working on that for quite some time. And finally, next month, we'll be in Atlanta. Y'all are welcome. Come on down on November 15th. And we're doing our launch, man. We're doing our premiere. If you want to check it out now, it's online in beta at Squirrler, SQUIRRELR, squirrler.com. You can go check it out right now. Content's there. We're loading new content all the time. But then the global premiere happens November 15th, which happens to be my birthday. I can't think of any way to celebrate my birthday than launching on 480 million TVs after almost 3+ years of planning and strategizing and all that good stuff. So it's time.
It's the delayed birthday gift that you well deserved.
There it is.
Yes. All right, let's jump over. So we got Mara and Rusty from Richmond, Virginia. Welcome to this awesome webinar. And again, just I'm so excited for today because the questions there are questions coming in, and it's so amazing because Tigo, you and I, our first one started, I think it was October or it was January of this year when our first
Yeah.
one came out.
Yeah. We've kind of done it once a quarter, it looks like.
Yeah. And it's amazing what this has done. You haven't been able to see like the analytics side and be able to see people that have reached, but we've gotten messages from people about how this has impacted their life. How
Nice.
literally I was talking with someone just this last week, and he's just like, I put you in my phone when we met at a networking thing. It was like a year and a half before that. He's just like, I put you on my phone as like William Blake, dyslexia something, because I knew you did something with dyslexia. And he texted me a year later, and we've been connecting these last couple of weeks. And he's just like, dude, I have a dyslexia, but it's been such a burden because I've been hiding it. I don't want anybody to know. But meeting you has given me this courage. And I love hearing these things because it's something that's been hidden for so many people, and it's not talked about. And it's usually in a negative format, but now that we are just shining light on it, it's a really cool advantage. I call it your dyslexic edge. It's your dyslexic edge that you have over this world. So
it's interesting because more people that are dyslexic also have genius IQs or very high, in certain fields. It's like, it's amazing. And when you get past hiding it, anything, not just dyslexia, when you get past hiding it, the pressure goes down. The negativity doesn't affect you so much because you're trying to defend when somebody knows something's a little different. You're trying to make it, oh, I'm tired today. Oh, I had a bad night last night. I didn't sleep well. Just tell them, I'm dyslexic and I got a minute, give me a minute. Just tell them, because it's not going to change anything. And if they don't like it, guess what? Kick rocks. That's how I feel about it. It's like, bye. I'm not depending on you. You're not depending on me, but this is what I'm dealing with. And when it's a non-visible disability or special need, it's a little bit harder for people to understand what's going on with you. You may not think like the general public, but who wants to? Leaders are made by the ones that stands out. And that's why a third of entrepreneurs are dyslexic. It's like, we want to be out there. We want to stand out. But the pressure we put on ourselves, to try to fit in. I spent a good 40 years of my life trying to be a round peg fitting in a square hole. Nah, I'll just fit into my round hole. I'm good. I don't need to fit in a square hole. Y'all aren't doing anything different over there. We can get along or not get along, but it's who I am. I'm not going to sit in judgment of you. Don't sit in judgment of me. I truly believe this is my special power, so I'm good with it.
Boom. Mic drop.
Mic drop. Okay, I'll see you later.
That ends this webinar. See you guys. No, because we also have an amazing individual who I want to bring up next, who I got to meet. I think it was also about a year ago. We're in the same group with each other with a wonderful mentor, Marianne. And in her group, like, I've seen this individual, and I'll bring her up so I can see her reaction. But Liz, when we're in those calls with Marianne, there's like, for some reason in my head, these like tier levels of like where we're at. And I always felt like I was down here trying to like move up, but I already felt like you were way up there. Like you had skills, you were already going out because you're the founder of Be Healthy Utah. You're out there as a female entrepreneur, just crushing it and killing it. Your heart and the love that you have for other people just shines. I'm giving you all the praise because you're just like a freaking amazing individual. So welcome as a panelist.
Oh, thanks, Willie. It's nice to be on with everyone and to be able to talk about this because, I think a lot of us that have had it for so many years, you feel kind of ashamed to have it because, you're not like other people and you think differently. But also it's been, such a blessing in all of our lives too, because we have had to think differently. We've been able to experience life differently. And like one thing you talked about is compassion and stuff like that. That is such a huge thing that this world is missing. But when you have a sort of a disability that you can connect with others, that passion right there, they just feel so much more loved and accepted. And you can share that with so many other different people when you have these trials that you go to, because life is about connections. And when we're able to connect with people, that is where the progress starts. That's where life begins. And so, I'm so glad that you are talking about this, because people need to know that it doesn't have to be a disability. Just because that's how the world is, we don't have to conform into a certain way that people learn and a certain way that they do things in life, because there are so many other ways out there that are also normal. And having dyslexia, what if we just thought that it was normal, that we are just living a different way?
Yeah. I'm right there with you. And with connection, it is true. There's a reason why there's not one person on this world by themselves. There's a reason why we have, where are we at? Up to 8-9 billion people on this earth right now. It's because we are to be using each other, and not use in a bad sense, but we're supposed to be connecting with each other, to be able to love, to be able to build relationships, to have friends, sometimes to value friends, we must have enemies. So it's just like, it's this whole circle of life that we have. Liz, I want our audience to be able to hear, first off, what you do, just a quick summary of what you do, and then tell us like how dyslexia has been an impact in however it is in your life.
Yeah. So I am Liz Watt. I run Be Healthy Utah. It's the largest natural health conference almost in the West. So it's a pretty large conference. We gather, this last conference, we had 3,500 people come, all where we just learn all about natural health. And, when I was diagnosed with dyslexia, I was in the first grade. And it was because my mom had dyslexia growing up. Now, my mom right now, she is 80. Let's see. I have to think of it. She's 82 years old. And so then at that time, people didn't know what dyslexia was. And they just thought that she was stupid and dumb, and she had to deal with a lot of humiliating things growing up. But when she got older, she realized that she was actually really smart in a lot of things, because her whole life she was just called dumb and stupid and stuff like that. And so when she started, unfortunately, when you have kids, when you have dyslexia and you have kids, the statistic is like 50% of your kids have dyslexia. So she knew that there was a good chance that we had it. And so we were always tested really early on. And I had dyslexia. And so at first grade, I was able to be put into the classes. And, I could totally understand what you're saying, Willie, about being made like you were different, because you had to go to these special classes. And I remember so many times they would come in and get me into my class, and it's like, Liz, you need to, it's your time to go, Yeah. And that was a struggle, because all of a sudden you're standing up in front of everyone, walking out as everyone is, you just imagine there's so much things. Our brains do such crazy things to us, right? Because it's like you're walking out, you're going to this separate classroom, and yet you feel like you hear these chatters behind you of, where's Liz going? Oh, she's not very smart, so she has to go to these other classes. And those feelings, when you're young like that, carry on to you for so many years. But I also had some really great teachers that really tried to change that mindset with me and really loved me through the process. And every child takes it differently, because I know, because I have, my mom had 10 kids. And so there was a lot of us that had dyslexia, and some of my brothers, they really took that to heart and struggled and didn't want to. I was always in that mindset that I wanted to try as hard as I could so I could overcome whatever it was that I was dealing with. And some of them really struggled with that and tried to distance themselves because they didn't want to feel like that they were different. And so it's all in the child's personality and also the support system that they have around them. And so I really strived to really work hard at it. And when I was graduating from high school, I actually went up to the University of Utah and I did full-on testing on my dyslexia. And because of that, because of how they could see that I was struggling with learning, but yet my IQ was high because I knew what was going on in the world, I ended up getting a full ride scholarship to any college that I wanted to in Utah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So you know what? I always say that I got a scholarship for being dumb, but you know what? Of course, there was a lot that came with that too, because you have to be able to want to learn. But when I was able to pick whatever college that I went to UVU, and it was the Utah Valley University, but then it was a little bit different school. But anyways, I went to that school and ended up meeting my husband. And so I decided that a 2-year degree probably wouldn't help me because we were moving to California. He was going to chiropractic school. And so I ended up going to dental assisting school, which was great because here we are, newly married, and I didn't have to pay for college because I had that desire, because I had dyslexia, but I had that desire to learn. So, dyslexia, there has a lot of benefits that come to it that I feel that my creativity is so much higher. And I have been able to, like you talked about, being able to take a business from an idea to becoming one of the largest in the West. I mean, it is the largest in Utah. I just don't know if you were to, I don't know what other state has a conference like we do that has not only the vendors, but it has all of the speakers that you get to listen to, and you get to go to the interactive classes and the food demonstrations, and a whole package where people can come and learn all about natural health. And do you want to know why I love natural health, though?
Tell us.
Because you get to the root cause of so many of these different things that are being manifested in our life. I have a son that has dyslexia really bad. And when a lot of times when you have dyslexia, it also manifests into other things and they felt that this child not only has dyslexia, but has ADHD, and he needs to be on all these medications and stuff. Now, everybody can choose however they want to live their life. And thank goodness I got to choose my path for my child when he was young. And I knew that our bodies were made to heal and adapt, and that I didn't feel like he needed to be on medication. We just needed to figure out the way that he needed to learn. Because when you have dyslexia, you don't fit into the norm of like everyone else. And like I talked about sometimes with my brothers, my child was struggling because he couldn't read, he couldn't do the letters, he couldn't, when he was in preschool, they thought he was colorblind because he couldn't get the colors. And he was in preschool. I put him in preschool for 3 years. He still couldn't get the colors. And so they felt that he, well, he couldn't fully engage himself because he wasn't on the level of all of these other kids. And he was in 3rd grade, and he was in his class, and I went to go to his parent-teacher conference, and the teacher was like, I don't know what he's doing. Because he's only in my class for 45 minutes a day. This is his teacher. And she's like, and when he's in there, he's very disruptive. And so you're just going to have to go talk to the resource teachers. And I'm sitting there thinking, you are his teacher. You should know, even if he's in these resource classes, you should know where he's at. And also he's being disruptive when he's in the class. And so anyways, I ended up pulling him from that school, sending him to a different charter school that some of my older kids were going to. And they had a totally different system. Their system was, we keep the kid in the classroom, we bring an aide in, and we start to have them so they feel like that they are integrated into the classroom rather than bring them away. But at that moment, there was also something else that changed in his life. Now, this kid, he would go out and play baseball, and it drove us crazy because he got so bored from it. So we're like, okay, he has to have a different sport here. And we got him into wrestling. Now, when he was in wrestling, the coach said, if you want to be a great wrestler, then you need to get off all the sugars, all the sodas. And now this was just right after Halloween. He just went and got like 30 pounds of candy because he hit all of the neighborhoods around, right? You know, it's like go. And anyways, he decided he was going to give that up. And he decided he was going to eat healthy. Now, at this moment, though, this is when he was in 5th grade, okay? So he totally went cold turkey on all sugars, all sodas, and he decided that he was going to eat just natural foods, just eat the proteins and eat the good, the good carbs and the good fruits and all of this stuff. He was just going to eat a clean diet. Well, something happened. He went from, here he was, and as the years progressed here, by the time he got to where he was in middle school, he went from a 3rd grade reading level up to now he was a high school reading level. This right here, it tells us that yes, we have dyslexia. And this might be hard for people to learn, but we can change our brains also by what we put into our bodies. And a lot of times we feel that we can just eat whatever we want. But it's what we put in our bodies that nourishes our brains. And now he still has dyslexia. He's actually on a church mission in Mexico right now. And the language he had to learn Spanish. And it was a lot more difficult for him than the other kids there that were learning it. And it has been a struggle for him because he has dyslexia. But his brain was able to be tamed so much more. He was able to focus a lot more. He was able to have that drive to be able to be involved more because he nourished his brain.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what food can do. Like, it's amazing how there's another friend in Marianne's group that huge in health. And she's just like, if their kids were doing that exact same thing of just like struggling in school, hard time working, they were autistic, and now they are functioning autistic and can just go out in the world. Like, it's amazing what food can do.
Well, and that's the thing is we've been told, like, you can't do anything about dyslexia. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's when we get to the root cause of some of these things. Maybe your brain might need some more nutrients. And we're missing it by having these processed foods. So if we can do something, why don't we come back to natural health? Why don't we come back to the things that are of this world to see if that can help benefit us in so many different ways. And it does. It does because why? Because that's the way that our bodies were created.
Yeah, right there with you. Let's jump over to some of the questions that we have from our listeners. So for the one that we have Mara coming in. She says, why are people so uncomfortable when you're vulnerable with them about your dyslexia? What a powerful question, Mara. Tiago, I'm gonna throw this one to you and have your thoughts on it.
Well, I think people are vulnerable or uncomfortable or whatever words you want to use whenever anything it feels different. I don't think it's just dyslexia. It's out of the normal spectrum. So, I don't know how to handle that. I don't know what that means. I don't know. And that's just the way, especially in America, that's just the way it is. If you're a little different in any way in America, they feel a little different about it. But people don't understand what dyslexia is. Like we were talking about, like she was talking about a few minutes ago, when I was a kid, there was no dyslexia. That's why I didn't get diagnosed. I was in my 20s. It was just, I was a little slow when it came to reading. I thought a little different, They didn't call me, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, so they didn't call me dumb or stupid because frankly, I would have knocked their head off. So that wasn't something that happened, but they did treat me different. I got left out. I wasn't invited to the cool kids. I didn't sit at the cool tables. And I was always looked at, well, no, not her. She's weird. She's a little different. I don't understand. And that's just the way it is. If they don't understand it, they put you in a box. And now you're in the different box. Even as an adult, you talk about dyslexia and oh, I'm so sorry. No need to be sorry. I feel about dyslexia like I feel about being left-handed. I'm left-handed. Most people are right-handed. People go, oh, that has to be difficult. Why? Well, you do everything with your left hand. And you do everything with your right. Well, yeah, but everything's made for us. Oh, I feel so bad for you. And you're dyslexic? Oh, you poor thing. No poor thing. I believe it's God's plan. It's like I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing if I fell into the regular box. I always find new ways to do it. So for me, when somebody goes, oh, I try to break it down for them and say, no. Because I'm dyslexic, that's why I'm so creative. Because I'm dyslexic, I pay attention to more details. As an MC, I read the audience different. Because as you see 100 people or 200 people or 1,000 people in an audience, and you think they're all there to attend, every person has a story. And my brain is searching, looking for the person that's got their arms crossed, looking for the ones that are like frowning, looking for the ones that are super happy because something's going on with them. And that's because I've had to read the situation all my life versus reading the script. I'm not going to get on a teleprompter. That's not who I am. I'm going to read the room. That makes me different, yes, but it gives me a power that most don't have. So don't feel sorry for me. It's just my gift. I don't know what your gifts are, but this is my gift, along with being a southpaw. I happen to like it.
There's a great question that comes to my mind of why are you trying so hard to fit in when you were meant to stand out? Us as humans in the world? Well, just to everybody. But like people try to fit in. They try to fit into that mold of just like, oh, this is my perceived vision of what everyone is. And if I'm not that way, then I'm the loser. I'm the one who's stuck behind. I'm the one who's dumb. But that's not it at all. Liz, go ahead.
Willie, I do a lot of public speaking.
Yeah.
And one thing is that when you do public speaking, you have to have a lot of stuff memorized, okay? Well, that's what a lot of people perceived. Well, I realized that one of the things that I struggle with is memorization. I just have always struggled with memorization. And I came to realize that that's not how I'm supposed to public speak, is with memorization.
Yeah.
I I have to, it's like, but I just say what comes to my head because I have to be so used to listening to it with my intuition and what's coming. And that's how I speak.
Yep.
I cannot memorize. And I was like, I was not built to memorize this whole keynote. But when you don't memorize something, you have an opportunity for your intuition to surface. And like you talked about, reading the room. If you have everything so memorized to the T, you can't read the room.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what a blessing that is, because guess what? You are able to serve that audience so much more when you don't memorize things, but you just listen to what comes to your body, what you feel, what you're seeing people experience. And then a story comes in and you're like, this is what they need to hear right now.
Yes.
And so, some of these things, that the way that we've been told that our brains are supposed to work, maybe are not the best ways to be able to help other people.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And to go back to your question, it's like this. School was made for one thing, teach people how to work, period. How to fit in, how to grow, and be a part of the team. You're in preschool, in kindergarten, they put you in line by your last name, by your height, by whatever. They put you in line. They teach you how to do everything in steps. Everybody is taught the same way, almost like factory work. My parents were factory workers. My mother was a seamstress in a sweatshop. It's set that way so you can become a worker. Like mortgages gave us an excuse to charge interest. That's the way it's supposed to be. School doesn't teach you to be a leader, unless, of course, you're the leader of the quarterback on the football team. But it doesn't teach you to be a leader, and it doesn't teach you independent thinking or be creative. Especially now, art is out of schools for the most part. Music is out of schools for the most part. They're messing with GEM, where you're really not getting physical. So what are you doing? You're going step by step, one by one. And when you try to step out a little bit, be a little independent, they push you right back into that slot because now you're disrupting, But as an entrepreneur, that's your job to disrupt. That's what you're supposed to do. It's your job. If it's your business, especially the business I'm in, it's my job to lead. But it's also my job, as my mother taught me years ago, you got 2 ears, you got 1 mouth. Listen 2/3 of the time and talk 1/3 of the time and see what happens. Works out really, really well. But the school system isn't made that way. And that's why people are afraid of people that are different, because they're not following the system. We can't. Our brains won't let us. And like she was saying about, teleprompting or about memorizing, I can't do it either. I choose not to. Now, mind you, I can read a code and keep that forever. People's names or what they did for a living or what. No, I get it for a minute, say it, gotta go, and that makes us unique in what we do, because I've watched national talk shows and somebody, the hostess said, oh my goodness, you haven't been seen in months, and they had a teleprompter. He's following this teleprompter. The guest says, well, yeah, I really didn't talk about it, but I was going through chemo for prostate cancer. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then what did he do? He went right back to his teleprompter. And his ratings dropped because his people thought he didn't care. Did you not hear this man was fighting for his life? Did you not acknowledge that? He got all kinds of what on social media, and his ratings dropped. Why? Because he was following the teleprompter and not being just a human connecting with another human. That's a skill we naturally have. We've been taught not to do it all our lives.
Willie, when you were sitting there talking about what do people, like people feeling uncomfortable or whatever, I've had people be like, they'll reach out and they say like, oh, Liz, you spelled this name, because I do a lot of graphic stuff. I do a lot of writing. I do all of my website. I'm doing graphics all the time with writing. I'm doing newsletters. I'm just, doing a lot of writing. And there's always something that it seems like, oh, why didn't I catch that? Whatever. And one thing I tell people is I'm really glad I have a lot of eyes out there that can help me. And I don't get down on myself when people pick out my mistakes. I just say oh, thank you so much. I love that everyone is watching out for me. And, one of the biggest things that I go by is just show them. Just show them how awesome you are. Just show them that it doesn't matter about your dyslexia. Just show them, be the person that you're supposed to be and just show them. Because, we can have people. I had somebody reach out to me and they're like, now, Liz, I know you have dyslexia. And so you probably didn't see this. And I'm like, no, I don't want people to feel bad for me because I have this. I'm just going to show them how awesome I am. And guess what? Because of that, I have been able to accomplish so much more in my life. I mean, I have written a whole memoir of my life and all that type of stuff because it's not necessarily show them, but it's because of the drive and the creativity that I have inside of me. And so, if somebody doesn't feel comfortable with you, just show them how awesome that you are, and by being who you are, don't change. Don't feel like you have to conform to them so that they feel comfortable, but just show them how awesome you are by the skills that you've been able to acquire.
It feels like such a chore sometimes when we do that, Liz. It's freeing when we're ourselves, but when we try to accommodate ourselves for what other people think, we get, what's the word for it? Dyslexia for the win on this one. We get stuck, right? We get a little, we use energy and our mind, it gets uncomfortable. And more than that, our soul and our integrity of who we are, if we stick with something that we're not for a long period of time, we lose ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of us have lost ourselves with this thing that's called dyslexia. And not only that, but when it comes to ADHD, when it comes to autism, when it comes to anything that's mentally challenging, or even in the realms of physically challenged or emotionally challenged, it is, we tend to lose ourselves to accommodate to other people, when that's where the connection is. That's where the relationship building is. If people don't love you for who you are, you don't want them around there in the first place. So if you just are out there and you're just sharing what you love, I love working with people who are dyslexic, but I also have side interests. I love cooking food. I wanted to be a chef, but I put that on the back burner, and now I just cook for my family and people who come over. I also love, crazy enough, Pokemon Go. Loved Pokemon as a kid. The only game I have on my phone, but whenever I have time, I'll just pull it up and chuck a Pokeball at the mon and just have a good time.
I have a whole new vision of you now. Okay.
Just imagine me in the street chucking Pokeball.
Yeah, I'm just wait, hold on.
And I also love sports. I'm not a big fan of watching sports. I don't like sitting there. But if you get a volleyball game going, if you get a soccer or basketball, I am there 3, 4, 5 hours just playing and having fun. We are way more than this thing called dyslexia. We are way more than our challenges. Tigo, go ahead.
For me, I think most people don't even know who they are because they've been trying to fit in for so long that they believe that's who they are. And they look at their life go by. It's like, oh, I really like that. Like you were saying, playing sports. Oh, I really like that. I want to try, but they won't step out of their comfort zone, because they're afraid that maybe they can't understand it. Maybe they won't be able to play that well. Maybe, maybe it's just crazy that they want to do this at this age or whatever. I'm 61 years old. I got my PhD. It's like, you gotta step out of your comfort zone. I think on the other side of that is the reason why 1/3 of the entrepreneurs are dyslexic is because we're not afraid of the word no. Most people are. Oh my goodness, if I do that and they laugh at me, or if I do that and they say no, or if I do that and I don't sell anything, or people don't understand it. I learned to adjust a long time ago. If you say no, I thank you. As Zig Ziglar would say, thank you for the $25 when he was selling insurance door to door. He knew he made $100 commission and he averaged 1 out of 4. So he would thank the first 3 that said no. And they said, I didn't give you any money. What do you mean, thank you for the $25? Well, I know I'm getting closer to that $100 commission because you said no. But most people see no as an absolute dead stop, can't move, I'm done. And most dyslexic people, we've been hearing no our whole lives. No, you don't fit in. No, you can't read it. We don't have that kind of time. No, we're going over here and you're not going to get it. And it's just made us, for me, it's just fueled my tank. Come on, keep telling me no. I was told I couldn't do this network. You can't do that. Watch me. And on top of that, we're self-funded. Haha. We didn't go through all that craziness of investment because I've been told no so many times for other projects. Or yes, but we're going to take the majority of your business and you're just going to work for us. That's not happening again. So I think that's different for us as dyslexics, as people with various things going on, is that no doesn't stop us. If we really want to go do something, we're going to do it. If we fail, we're not going to call it the end of our life or the end of the day. We're just going to get up, dust ourselves off and go try it again or find something else we like to do. Most people stop dead in their tracks. How many people out there know the guy who hit the winning basket or the winning, caught the winning goal or winning touchdown in high school, and they're in their 50? And when you sit down with them at a mixer, what do they talk about? That same touchdown. Yeah. It's like, that's got to be so hard to peak at 17. 17. That's a little different. So for me, I love it. I love the way God made me. And I love the word no, because it just gets me closer to the yes. So thank you for the $25.
Yeah, Dallin put it great. Dallin, great to see you on here. Others truly miss out when we dim our light. It's exhausting to try and fit in someone else's perspective of us. So true. Like when it truly dims who we are and our ability to share. Think of it like everybody has a candle in their hand and they have a little flame. And most people, I'd say, are trying to cover it. They're trying not to block it out. They're trying to make it survive. And a lot of people are in a survival mode. They're just like, don't touch me. Don't get near me. I don't want it. But individuals who have embraced it and built their fire, like you, Tigo, like you, Liz, and myself, as we're just growing it, we have this bonfire that we're igniting. This one where we're not just like, stay away. We're inviting people in. Yeah. And in this wonderful community that we're building, we're inviting as many people in as we can because it's about that connection. It's about everybody having their own light, but using that light together to shine even brighter.
Exactly.
All of us struggle with things in our lives, and it doesn't matter who you are. When we not only do we have one struggle, but we might have multiple different struggles in our lives. But it's until we learn to accept who we are, the gifts that we have, that we can really start to bless so many other people.
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
Amen. Another question that came in beforehand is, what's the cost? We kind of touched on it, but I want to go a little bit further. What's the cost of hiding your dyslexia? Liz, I'm actually going to throw this to you first. What, in your experience and what you've seen, what's the cost of hiding your dyslexia?
You cannot be the person that you are, because there has been times where I've wanted to hide it, of course, right? Because as you grow and you learn, then you become more accepting of who you are. But when you're younger, you want to hide that. And when there have been times when I have tried to hide it, and really, I just look like a fool. Because you're hiding a part of the person of who you are. And, I remember I was in 3rd grade, and it was like, if you get 100% on your spelling test, then you get to do whatever in the class, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that day because that was the day that I cheated.
Ooh.
And I cheated on my spelling test because I wanted to be able to do what all the other kids were going to be able to do, and I knew I couldn't do it. But that moment stayed with me, that I did not want to be a cheater in my life. And so it's not worth conforming to other people, even if you don't get the gig, even if you don't get the prize, even if you don't get whatever everyone else, like the world, thinks that they should get, right? It's not worth it to conform, to hide it, because it's not who you are, and you will always be chasing away from something, always. So just front it, and I'm so glad that I learned that lesson when I was in 3rd grade, because I still remember that moment. It's one of those core moments in my life, and I don't want to be that person.
Wow, what a powerful story.
Absolutely.
Give me, I want to share something. Give me 2 minutes to share this. This is a lesson that I learned over this past year when it comes to the cost of hiding your dyslexia. A lot of times we put on these masks, and they can be masks of I am happy when I'm sad, or I'm sad when I'm happy, or I'm doing okay when I might be angry at somebody. We put on these masks that we hold up every single day. Most people can't see that. Most people don't get to see the person behind the mask because they have their own masks on. The conversation that I had with somebody was they were talking about how people in their world, anytime that they would be vulnerable, every time that they would talk about dyslexia, they would say something negative. They would say, well, you are the gifted person, or because you're dyslexia, you have other things that are going on for you, or you got to have extra tutors, or the list can go on and on. And they kept sharing like that the world was out to get them. That because they had this thing and because they were being vulnerable, that they can't be themselves. They can't be the empathetic, the energetic, the obsessed individual they are, going after the things that they wanted and connecting with the people that they wanted to connect with. And as I sat there and listened to them, something came to my mind. And it's one of my favorite quotes that I love talking to people about. And it's, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think that you think I am.
That is so true, because we are what we think. It is all within our own minds, and we have the power to change that by the thoughts that we allow to accept and the thoughts we allow to reject.
You're right. Absolutely. You're right there. And it's, we perceive, and that's all it is. Like, think about our minds are so lazy. Our minds love doing things that are comfortable. That's why habits stick so well, whether they're good habits or bad habits, because it just means that the brain can spend less mental energy and power in doing that thing. And so when I talk with these individuals, I have so much sympathy for them, because our minds are built to be comfortable. They're built to work on systems. And so, of course, if we're trying to do something different, it's going to be hard. And for individuals who from day one and through elementary school and through middle and high school and even into college, as they have grown up and they have had this mental load of, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to amount anything, I'm always below average, and even probably most of all, I have to catch up to everybody else. There is no doubt in my mind, and I have sympathy for this, because for decades they have had this habit in their mind, this habit of thinking that way. And so, of course, when you start on this new journey of thinking differently, of course, something's going to try to push against it, because you're trying to go against like a 30-year habit. You've been ingraining this path in your mind of one way of thinking. And so, of course, when you try to change it, there's going to be so much resistance. And that's why it's so important to be involved with people like us and be involved with people who are kind and gentle and empathetic and sympathetic, and just see the silver lining, because all of us are truly building off of each other. We have to, because we know the importance of, like the analogy from before, we know the importance of having a bonfire and sharing that with everybody. A candle can't warm one person, but a bonfire can warm dozens. And so it's the accumulation of bringing all of our fires together, all the passions, all of the love and the heart, all the light and the hope and the gratitude and the inspiration, everything together, bringing that all together. That's what it's about.
Willie, can I bring up a topic, though, that I think that we probably really need to talk about with our times that we are dealing with right now?
Yes, please.
One of the gifts of having dyslexia is that we have a very creative mind, right? We can all agree that when we have dyslexia, because our minds have had to think differently for a long time, and we've had to think outside of the box in so many different ways. One of the things that I think that we are all going to be struggling with dyslexia is the new with coming up, I remember when I went to college, they gave me a spell checker because I couldn't spell, right? And I could type in how I thought that it sounded, and then all of a sudden the real word would come up. This is how you spell it. And then we got our phones, and we could type into it, and it would start to, we actually got our computers, and we got spell check, right? And then the spell check helped us with that. And then we got our phones, and we could type into it, and it'd be like, oh, I think this is what you're saying. And so it would start typing for us, right? And then we could do talk to text. And so now we don't even have to even spell, right? We don't even have to do all of these different things. Well, with the way that the AI is coming, hey, I use AI all the time. I use it all the time within my business doing different things. But one thing we have to be really aware of is that we can, if we allow it, AI can start to take our super strength, our creativity. Don't allow your creativity to flounder in this time of days, because that is what's going to be able to also stick you out and away from other people too, of being, because when your creativity goes, that is your superpower. That's the thing that you have right now. And so now whenever I do anything with my business, and whenever I am using anything that's a tool, which I love all of these tools because it helps me in so many different ways. But don't allow it to take your creativity. Take moments to think about things. Take moments to process things. Don't allow ChatGPT or whatever it is to come up with everything that your whole process. Don't allow that, because that is what sets us apart, is our creativity. And as it starts to go, AI is going to replace all of our creativities. But don't allow that right now. Don't allow that. Take the time to use that as a tool for things that you don't have to think about. But when there's times that you need to, use your creativity, use it. Think about it. Stop yourself, because you do not want to diminish these gifts that you have that are inside of you.
Tigo, I was reading your face. It seems like you had something you wanted to share.
I don't agree with that at all, but that's my
All right,
opinion.
then let's jump to the next question.
Yeah, that's all. I don't agree with that at all. I've been in tech since I was 14 years old. AI is here, and it's for whatever you're going to use it for. But I have one of the most creative minds on the planet, not bragging, just the way it is. And now my creative thought process is stronger, and I can go further. I don't use AI to create my creativity. I use AI to expand on my creativity and also teach from there. For people that are not very creative, I'm getting them more creative. But a lot of times, a lot of people use AI and they basically say, I am here, I want to go there, fill in the blank. That's basically using it as a like a super Google, and that's not really what it's meant for. For me, I'll flesh out my entire future project of what we're going to do. And then I use AI to stack it and stack it and stack it. And what used to cost thousands, if not millions of dollars for us, I can now do with me, AI, and one other person. And
see,
I've helped
Tigo,
organizations.
What you said though, that right there was that you first fleshed it out, right? And then you went
Right,
to
but
AI.
you're saying don't use AI
I'm not saying that at all, because I
for
use
your
that
creativity, and I use it to expand my creativity. So
well, and
that's why I
like
didn't
I
agree
said,
with
I
it
use AI every single day,
as a
but
tool.
as a tool, I use it every
Mhm.
single day within my business, every
Mhm.
day. But what you just talked about, that you sit there, we have to be able to have those thoughts come into us without AI giving us all of these thoughts. Like, we have to flesh it out first. And then that's what I do, is I flesh it out first. I think of, okay, what is it that's needed? What is good? And then I use the AI tool to help build upon that. And I just think that
Okay.
we cannot allow our creativity to just go straight to AI. We can't do that, because this
Okay.
is such a big gift that's within us that will start to diminish if we
Okay.
don't expand on our creativity. And it's just exactly what you said. And I probably use it exactly the way that you said that. But that is just like, that is such a big gift within us that we don't want that to be diminished at all.
And like I said, I see it differently, and I see it the way you're saying it, the way I'm hearing it, it's different than what I'm saying. And it's like some people that are not creative are super creative right now and getting there because they have this tool. They've never thought they could do the things that they're doing. And some people that, are expecting, they're using it as a super Google. Yeah, they're not creative in the first place. They're sitting there saying, show me the map to get to here. They're not creative in the first place. They're not mapping it out on their own with or without AI. They're just leaning on, instead of a counselor or a business consultant or their cousin Benny to create it for them, they're just feeding it to AI and hoping that something great comes out. And what ends up happening is you get a lot of generic content coming out because you're not feeding enough data in. AI is like it is a large language module, and it's the biggest library of data you could ever have in the world. But if you're asking generic questions, you're going to get generic answers. So that's one of the differences for me. But I'm a techie. I'm always going to stand on tech. And it's like I have people coming, oh no, it's going to take away everybody's jobs. That's what they said when cars came out, and when the microwave came out, and when computers came out. Whenever there's change, and you're going to have to adjust, and it's not going away. And if they think AI is powerful now, Yeah, no. What happens in the next 5 years is going to blow people's minds away, which is why we're building our own LLM, because the guardrails are going up, because people want to make sure, just like the internet, when the internet came out in the 90s, it was the wild, wild west. You could do whatever the heck you wanted to do. And that's what people did. And then they came out with the guardrails. And there's so much stuff that you can't do on the internet anymore because, one, corporate America and corporate world wants to control a lot of it. Two, they want to make sure you don't go crazy with it. And the same thing is happening already. Things that you could do 6 months ago, you can't do with AI anymore because they're making sure that it stays more commercial. And for us, we're treating it like a country club. In country clubs, you have your own rules and your own rights. So we're building our own LLM so people can be as creative as they want to be, even if they never thought they were creative before. And it's wonderful to watch people that have always wanted to do a coloring book or always wanted to do a children's book, didn't have the money to be able to do it by any means, to hire all the people to do it, but learned AI and was able to feed the right data in to get the right data out. And that's what I love about AI, is that you can actually finish stuff. Like I just helped somebody write a grant proposal. They could never get a grant for 20 years. They couldn't get a grant because the grant writers want half their money if they write it for them. And they didn't know how to write a grant, but they knew all the data. And we finished that grant proposal and they got that grant. That to me is different. So, but I mean, everything is different for everybody. I love tech.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting how this has gone, because it's a world at sitting at the bonfire. We tell stories, we share perspectives, and that's what it is. Whether we agree with some things, disagree with other things, like it ends up with the common ground of AI is a wonderful tool that we can be able to use. It should never replace you,
Absolutely.
but it should help enhance you. Right. And when we're able to understand those amazing common grounds that we have, we can then build from there. And that's not just with AI, but that's with everything that we've talked about. Everything from how we are feeling emotionally to how we achieve our goals and dreams and build the businesses that we want, to just day-to-day relationships. It's amazing. When it comes to everything amongst this crazy world that we live in, we start from that common ground, something that we are able to connect with each other on, and then to build from there. And as we are getting closer to the end of this, and obviously I'm going to ask the question that Tigo already knows, which is the last thing we want to share with the audience here. Before we jump into that, for those of you who are listening, jump over to our community. A couple months back, we created it, and right now you can find it. Let me scroll over because we're doing this real time. You can go to coachwillieblake.com/community, where you're going to see this fun little smiling Willie and next level dyslexics. And it's a community where dyslexics are going to the next level. Because for me personally, and I'd love to end with my thought before I turn it over to the other two panelists, which is I built this community because we need to bring people closer together. But even more than that, I don't have a PhD. I'm not a doctor. I don't have a psychologist degree. I'm not here to diagnose people, though. Right. I'm here to take what I have learned and what I've done and what's worked for me, and it can hopefully work for other people. And I share that. Tigo, I think it's really cool. You got your PhD. I didn't know that. That's really cool. And so it's just amazing that amongst everything, community, we get so many different minds and opinions, but we all have something, which is this thing called dyslexia. And so as we, I'm gonna end it with that. Tigo, I'd love to hear from you your final words for our audience.
Dyslexia or not, ability, disability, special needs or not, stay-at-home mom, multi-billionaire, superstars, whatever. Just dream, man. Figure it out. Don't be scared to dream, and don't be scared to just reach out. And if the community that you're in doesn't support you, you're in the wrong community. it's so much easier to find your people, as we would say back in the day, that will help you and help you on that journey that it's ever been before. You can do it on Facebook or any social media. You can join your community or you can join some other communities. Find your people and grow, and just don't be scared, because the price of, hiding your disability or hiding dyslexia or trying to fit in is that you're missing out on the blessing that you were given when you got here. Go live your life. It's very short. You're going to blink and it'll be over.
Agree. Powerful. Liz, I'd love to hear from you. What's your final message you'd love to leave with the audience?
Don't let dyslexia hold you back from anything that you want to do, because you are you because of the person of how you were created. And the more that you try to hide from that, the less the person that you can change this world in so many different ways. It wasn't until I finally accepted who I was that I was able to create something that changes the world, that changes so many different people in this world. And so it's all a choice in how we choose to look at ourselves and the world and what we can do in our lives. And we have the choice from what we put into our bodies to how it affects us. We have the choice of the advice that we get from other people. We have the choice of how creative we want to be in the process. It all comes down to what we choose for the experience that we want to have. And so if you want to have the greatest experience in your life, then realize that how you were created was exactly the way that what you needed for where you need to go.
I love it. My friends, also realize that amongst everything, we talked a lot about beliefs today. We talked a lot about mindset. We talked a lot about the things that maybe aren't the practical, like what is the next step by step that we need to take. Let me share this with you. The master is the master because the master has failed more than the novice has tried. So let that be a message to you to go out and try. Try new things, try new ideas. Those things that the ideas that you come to your head, don't discount them. Those impressions, those insights. If you want to start your own podcast, start your own podcast. If you want to go ask the girl across the way on a date, don't be fearful, but go and ask her. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? She says no. Well, then you're in the exact same place you were before. And so in anything that you're trying to achieve, if you don't do anything, you're going to be in the same place. But if you do something, you're always going to be ahead and moving forward. So my friends, always remember to keep moving forward. Perfection is dead, and it's about progress, because progress always beats perfection. And with that closes this wonderful webinar. I want to thank the panelists, Tigo and Liz, for joining us today. And I want to thank the listeners for being here, because you have taken time out of your day to show up for yourself. And if you haven't heard this, thank you. Not from me and not from our panelists, but thank you to you for showing up for yourself. That is truly amazing. And as always, continue to be a light in this world. Continue to be the best version of yourself. And always remember, own your dyslexia. Turn dyslexia into your greatest advantage. My friends, have a great rest of your day. This wraps it up, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you later.